So let's speak to Dr. Dimitrios Stroikos, the head of the Space Policy Project at the London School of Economics IDEAS. Thank you for joining us. Why is China being so mysterious?
Well, as you said, we know very little, so much is left to speculation, and no images of the craft have been published. As you mentioned, the Chinese official statement refers to a reusable experimental spacecraft. And we know that this was the second mission of this type of uncrewed spaceplane, landing after 276 days after in orbit. Whereas the previous spaceplane was launched in September 2020 and stayed in orbit for 2 days. So in this regard, the second mission is a major breakthrough for the Chinese spaceplane project, but it is not a global breakthrough and it is not a Sputnik moment. Why it has been secretive? Well, we have to take into consideration that in terms of the functions of a spaceplane, they are two key benefits over other kinds of spacecraft. The first advantage is their ability to reduce the costs associated with space missions. And this is due to the fact that spaceplanes can be reused many times with various payloads, negating the need to construct new launch vehicles every time. The second advantage is that spaceplanes have greater maneuverability in orbit compared to other spacecrafts, which enables them to carry out a broader range of missions and perform multiple tasks while in orbit. They do have, in this regard, many economic benefits, but they also have many military functions.
I was going to ask you, do you reckon this is more about space tourism, or is there an economic purpose to this, or is it more likely that perhaps there is military surveillance, satellite interest in a mission like this for China?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it can be all of that. And maybe the secretive nature has to do with the fact that it has military implications, or because of the fact that it hasn't been developed yet, it is in early stages. In terms of military terms, the greater vulnerability of a spaceplane is very suitable. It makes it suitable, as I mentioned, for many functions, including, for example, surveillance, but also in terms of military support in orbit, such as refueling, for example. Or you can also launch a satellite from using a spaceplane, but it can also be used as a platform as a sort of anti-satellite weapon. But from an economic point of view, if China, for example, can develop this technology, it can capture a greater share of this global market of space tourism, for example. And then we shouldn't also underestimate other factors, other drivers of developing a space plane. For example, China's space program more broadly, but also in relation to space planes, they serve as indicators of great power status, of modernity, prestige.
How does it compare then to, I mean, we know that America is more advanced in its space technology, but how might China compare to Russia or India, for example?
Well, with regards to the space plane, and again, we don't have much information, but we do know that the Chinese type of space plane is significantly smaller. So that's important to keep in mind. And also the US Air Force One stayed in orbit for more than 900 days. So it seems to be quite more advanced. But there is no doubt that in terms generally of space capabilities, but also in terms of spaceplane capabilities, China is a very significant space power. I would say that now is number 2, not because Russia doesn't have this capability, but because it is a declining space power in terms of, because of issues of corruption. There are many technological hurdles. So Russia's space program has focused mainly on military applications. So it is an important development, as I said before, but it is in very early stages. We're looking now in terms of the next 2-3 decades. But also, you know how technology works. You might not have a proper operational space plane, but some breakthroughs, technological breakthroughs, can also find purpose in other technologies that China has been developing.
Thank you very much, Dimitrios Stroikos, for joining us there. It's very interesting to talk to you.